dear students, this is Ms. Shayma Gharib and today's lesson about rectangles and triangles. In this lesson, we are going to talk about area of rectangles and squares, area of triangles using rectangles. Let's see some rules before you watch any video. You have to sit in a quiet place. You should have your pen and a piece of paper to take notes and to solve questions. You should pause the video after each question, then you try to answer on your own. Then you play the video to check your answer and to understand the question in case you get a wrong answer. Are you ready? Let's start. Area of rectangles. This is a rectangle. In order to calculate the area of the rectangle, we multiply the length by the width. This is the length of the rectangle and this is the width of the rectangle. So, area equals length times width. Units of measuring area. As we said before, we use square units to measure any area, such as centimeter squared, meter squared, kilometer squared, or any other square unit. Is this clear? Now, if I have a rectangle like this, and we said area equals length times width. The length of the rectangle is 6 centimeters, and the width of the rectangle is 4 centimeters. If I want to calculate the area, I will multiply the 6 by the 4. 6 times 4 equals 24. And what about the unit? Don't forget the unit. The length here is in centimeters, so the area will be in centimeter squared. Is this clear? So don't forget that we measure the area using square units. One more rectangle. The length here is 8 meters and the width is 6 meters. So in order to calculate the area, I will multiply the length by the width. So 8 times 6 equals 48. What about the unit? The unit must be square unit. In this rectangle, it's in meters, so it will be meter squared. Is this clear? Now let's talk about area of squares. We have a square here. Remember that the square is a type of rectangles. The only difference is in the square, all sides are equal, but in the rectangles, opposite sides are equal. Area of the square, same as the rectangle, length times width. But the difference, as we said, in the square, the length equals the width. All sides are equal. So we can say that it equals side times side, or the side times itself, or the side squared. Is this clear? So we calculate the area of the square by multiplying the side by itself or by squaring the side. And it's same as length times width. And the units of measuring area, same units exactly as the rectangle, square units, such as centimeter squared, meter squared, kilometer squared, and so on. We said the area equals side times side, or the side squared. So if one of the sides of the square is 4 centimeters, then the area will be 4 times 4, because all the sides are equal. The length equals the width. So 4 times 4, or 4 squared, which is 16. And the unit here will be centimeter squared. What about the second one here? Same exactly, but different unit. 7 meters. So the area will be 7 times 7, or 7 squared, which is 49 meter squared. Now, let's see the relation between rectangles and squares. We can split any square into two identical or different rectangles. For example, this is a square. I can split it this way, so it will be split into two rectangles. Or this way, so I cut it into two rectangles. And these two rectangles are exactly the same size. And here they have same size, which means they have same area. Is this clear? And what about this one? I can cut it into two rectangles, but this time they are different in size, or they have different areas. One more way, I can cut it horizontally like this, but both rectangles have same area? No, they have different areas. So I can split it into two rectangles with the same area, or two rectangles with different areas. Let's see how we can apply this. Look at this example. We have a rectangle here. It has a length of 8 meters. This rectangle is made by putting two squares together. So I put this square next to this square to form this rectangle, which has 8 meters length. Is this point clear? Now let's see. What is the area of the rectangle? We said area of the rectangle equals length times width. I know the length, but do I know the width? No, I don't know the width. What should I do? What do you think? It says here the rectangle made by two squares. So this is a square and this is a square. And these two squares are equal. So the side of the square, for example, this one, is equal to this one, which is half of the length of the rectangle. So if this is 8 meters, so this side of the square will be 4 meters. Is this clear? Which means this one is 4 as well, because this is a square. Is this clear? So now I can get the area of the square. And also I can get the area of the rectangle. So if the rectangle has 8 meters length and its width is 4 meters, so the area will be 8 times 4, which is 32. What about the unit? Square meters. Okay? Now, next question, what is the area of the square? I can get the area of the square by two ways. I can just divide the area of the rectangle by 2, because this rectangle is formed from two squares. So the area of the square, one square, is half the area of this rectangle. Or I can get it by multiplying the length times the width of the square, which means the side times itself, the 4 times the 4, which is 16 meter squared. Or by, as we said, dividing the area of the rectangle by 2, 32 divided by 2 is same, which is 16 meter squared. Is this clear now? How we can get the width of a rectangle if it is split into two squares? Let's see more examples. This time I have a square. And we said its side here is 8 centimeters. Do you remember the square? All sides are equal. This square is made by putting two identical rectangles together. And identical means same shape and same area. So, what is the area of the square? First, the square, I will multiply the side by itself. 8 times 8, which is 64 centimeters squared. What is the area of the rectangle? So we need to know the width of the rectangle. We can calculate the width of the rectangle, or we can just divide the area of the square by 2. If this side is 8, so this side will be 8 as well, which means half of this side, which is this part, the width of the rectangle, will be half the 8, which is 4. So this part is 4 and this part is 4. So in order to calculate the area of a rectangle, I can just multiply the 4, which is the width, times the length, which is the 8. Or I can divide the 64 by 2. So 8 times 4 equals 32 centimeters squared. Don't forget the unit. Or I can divide the 64 by 2, which is 32 centimeters squared. Is this clear? Now let's talk about triangles. Both rectangles and squares can be cut or split into two identical triangles if cut in half diagonally. Let's see. This is a rectangle. I can cut it diagonally like this into two identical triangles. This triangle is exactly the same size and area as this one. If I have a square, I can also cut it diagonally this way to form two identical triangles. As you can see, this one and this one. Is this clear? So the area of the triangle in this case, if I want to calculate the area of one of these triangles, what do you think? We said we cut it into two identical triangles, which means we can divide the area of this rectangle by 2 to get the area of the triangle, because the area of the triangle equals half of the area of this rectangle. In the square, the area of the triangle, for example, if we're talking about any of these triangles, this one, for example, it equals half the area of the square. So if I know the area of the square, I can get the area of the triangle. If I know the area of the rectangle, I can get the area of this triangle. Is this clear? Both rectangles and squares can be cut or split into two identical triangles, as we said. Now let's see example. In this rectangle, the area of the rectangle is 42 centimeters squared. Can you find the area of one triangle? We said in this case, the area of the triangle equals half the area of the rectangle. So 42 divided by 2 equals 21. What about the unit? Centimeter squared. In this example, it's a square, and the area of one triangle is 18 kilometers squared. Here, I know the area of the triangle, not the square. So what do you think? Can we find the area of the square? The area of the square then will be double the area of this triangle. Is this point clear? So 18 times 2 equals 36. And what about the unit? Kilometer squared. Is this clear? Now, let's see how we can find the area of triangles on a 1 centimeter grid. This is a 1 centimeter grid, which means each square here is 1 centimeter squared. And the side of the square, the small square, is 1 centimeter. So let's see how we can do this. Look at this triangle. It's triangle A. How can I find the area of this triangle? We can just calculate how many squares inside this shape, or I can use another way. Look at this triangle carefully. And now look at this square I made around this triangle. So now it became half of this square. Can you see it, the blue one? So we can say that the area of this triangle is half the area of this square. So if I know the area of the square, I can get the area of the triangle. So the area of this square is 3 centimeter and 3 centimeter. I can multiply the 3 by 3 or by itself, or the 3 squared, or I can count how many squares are there inside this square, which is 9 centimeter squared. So the area of this triangle is half 9. What is half 9? Half 9 is 4.5 centimeter squared. Let's see one more shape. It's another triangle. So I will complete this triangle to be, in this case, it is a rectangle, as you can see. So in order to calculate its area, I can calculate the area of this rectangle, the blue one, then I divide it by 2. In this rectangle, the length is 4, as you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the width is 1, 2, 3. So 3 times 4 equals 12. Then I will divide the area of the rectangle by 2 to get the area of the triangle. 12 divided by 2 equals 6. So the area of shape B, or triangle B, equals 6 centimeter squared. Now, one more triangle. It's triangle C. I will do exactly the same by drawing or completing the square or the rectangle around it. In this case, I have a rectangle and the length is 5 and the width is 3. So the area of the rectangle equals 5 times 3, 15. Then the area of the triangle will be half 15. Half 15 is 7.5 centimeter squared. One more shape, a triangle D. I will complete the shape to become, as you can see, it is a square. 4 centimeters and 4 centimeters. So this square has area of 4 squared, or 4 times itself, or 4 times 4, which is 16. The area of this square is 16, which means the area of this triangle will be half 16, which is 8 centimeter squared. In all the previous examples, we cut the rectangle diagonally to get two identical triangles. But in this example, look at this side of the triangle. it's not diagonal of this rectangle. And the other side is not diagonally. So we didn't cut this rectangle diagonally to get the triangle inside it. So how can calculate the area of this triangle? In this case, I can just count the squares inside the shape, but there are many squares here that I cannot find its value exactly, like these three, for example. So I need to think in a different way. How can I use the rectangle to get the area of the triangle? I want all of you to pay attention now. What will happen if I cut the rectangle this way? I divide it into two shapes or two parts. A small rectangle, as you can see, and a square. The other part is a square. And at the same time, I cut the triangle into two triangles. A small triangle, as you can see here, and a big triangle. Now, what can I do? First, I will start to calculate the area of each part of the rectangle. Let's see together. I want you to look at the small part of the rectangle here. What is the area of this rectangle? 1 times 3 equals 3. The length times the width equals 3 centimeters squared. Now look at the big part or the other part of the rectangle, which is a square. As you can see, 3 times 3, which is 9. Is this clear now? Now I will go to the triangle and I will look at the small part of the triangle. Can you see it? The green part here. Look at this part. It's exactly half the area of the small rectangle. So the small rectangle is 3. Then the area of this green part will be 1.5, half the 3. Is this clear? Now I will look at the other part of the triangle, which is exactly half the area of this square. Can you see it? So if the area of the square is 9, then the area of this part of the triangle will be half 9. Half 9 is 4.5. Now I can calculate the area of the triangle, the total area of the two parts together. 1.5 plus 4.5 will give me 6. Is this clear? So the area of this triangle is 6. What about the area of the rectangle? The area of the rectangle is 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3, which is 12. So this triangle, all of it also equals half the area of the rectangle, same as the cases before. So now let's sum up some rules. So this is the first case we talked about when we cut the rectangle diagonally into two identical triangles. Is this clear? And we said then the area of the triangle will equal half the area of the rectangle. Then in this case, the area of this triangle will be 6 centimeters squared, because the area of the rectangle here is 12 centimeter squared. And this is the second case we talked about in the previous slide. I want to ask you a question. What do you notice, or what both of these shapes have in common? I want you to look at the triangle and the rectangle in this shape, and the triangle and the rectangle in this shape, and try to think of something in common between these two shapes. First, we will find that they have side in common. This side is a common side between the triangle and the rectangle. And here, this side is a common side between the triangle and the rectangle. So both of them, they have common side between the triangle and the rectangle. What else? They also, if you look at the vertices of the triangle, the three vertices, all of them lie on the rectangle. This vertex exactly on the rectangle. This vertex exactly on the rectangle. This vertex exactly on the rectangle. So we said in the previous slide, in this case also, the area of the triangle will be equal half the area of the rectangle, which is 6 centimeters squared. So we can come up with a rule when we have one common side between the triangle and the rectangle, and when we have the three vertices of the triangle, all of them lie on the rectangle. So a common side, the yellow one here is a common side, and the yellow one here is a common side. And the three vertices of the triangle lie on the rectangle. The three vertices of the triangle lie on the rectangle. In this case, the area of the triangle will equal half the area of the rectangle. Is this clear? Now it's our questions time. Are you ready? First question. What is the side length of a square with area 36 centimeters squared? So the area of this square is 36 centimeters squared. We said the area of the square, length times width, or the side times itself, or the side squared. So what is the number? When I multiply it by itself, it gives me the 36. Of course, it's 6. So the side length of this square will be 6 centimeters, because the length is measured using the centimeters. Okay, is this clear? If the area of a rectangle is 36 centimeters squared, now we are talking about a rectangle, and its area is 36 centimeters squared. Write all the possible lengths and widths for this rectangle. This is the length and this is the width, and we said the area equals the length times the width. So the length times the width must be 36. So can you think of two numbers when I multiply them together will give me 36? Actually, you can think of factors of 36. We can start with 36 and 1. So if the length is 36 and the width is 1, then the area will be 36. We can also say 18 and 2. 18 times 2 equals 36. We can also say 12 and 3. 12 times 3 equals 36. Or we can say 9 and 4. 9 times 4, 36. Can we say 6 times 6? No, because if the length and the width are equal, then the shape will be a square, not a rectangle. Is this clear? Now let's see the next question. We said before, both rectangles and squares can be cut or split into two identical triangles. If the area of the rectangle is 50 centimeters squared, can you find the area of one triangle? Then it will be 50 divided by 2. The area of the triangle here will be half the area of the rectangle, which is 25 centimeter squared. Second question, we have a square. If the area of one triangle is 20 kilometers squared, can you find the area of the square? So then the area of the square will equal double the area of the triangle. So I will multiply the 20 by 2, which is 40. And what about the unit? Kilometer squared. Is this clear? Now let's see next example. Calculate the area of this triangle. So we are going to draw the rectangle around it and check which case is it. First, I will think, do they have a common side? Yes, they have a common side here. This side is common between the triangle and the rectangle. What about the vertices of the triangle? The 3 vertices, as you can see, lie on the rectangle. Then the area of this triangle equals half the area of the rectangle. And the area of the rectangle here equals 12. 4 times 3, which is 12. Then the area of the triangle will be 6. What about the unit? 6 centimeter squared. Look at the second triangle. What is the area of this triangle? I will draw the rectangle around it and check a common side. We have a common side, and the 3 vertices are on the rectangle. Then the area of this triangle will be half the area of the rectangle. So what is the area of this rectangle? Length times width. 5 times 3 equals 15. So half 15 is 7.5. Then the area of this triangle will be 7.5 centimeter squared. This is the end of our lesson today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any question, please feel free to leave a comment and I will answer you as soon as possible. Please remember that your feedback is highly appreciated. Thank you very much and have a nice day.